what if you could just peek into the future, even for just one day? Well, that's what we're going to do. We're about to piece together the headlines from one single really important day in 2026. And you'll see how a world on the edge, a business giant falling, and a culture completely in flux are all connected. All right, so the day we're zeroing in on is January 14th, 2026. It looks like just another Wednesday. But as we're about to find out, the things that happen in these 24 hours, they're going to send some serious shockwaves around the entire globe. On this single day, you've got these three huge but totally connected stories unfolding all at once. A massive international crisis hitting a boiling point, an absolute titan of industry just crumbling, and this quiet revolution in how we all eat, watch, and listen. So let's start with the big one, the story that's absolutely dominating global headlines, this powder keg situation in Iran that has pretty much the whole world holding its breath. And the human cost is, well, it's just devastating. On this day, activist reports are confirming that the death toll from civil unrest has tragically climbed past 2,500 people, and that's a direct result of a massive crackdown by security forces. Now, a crisis like this doesn't stay local for long. It explodes onto the world stage. From the US, President Trump signals that he might just intervene, sending this really direct, really clear message to the protesters in Iran: help is on the way. The fallout from that is immediate, and it's global. The U.S. drops an economic bombshell, a huge 25% tariff on any nation that's still doing business with Iran. It's a move the World Economic Forum is calling the #1 threat in the world, a geoeconomic confrontation, and the danger feels very real. You've got countries like India putting out urgent alerts, telling their citizens to get out of Iran right now. Okay, so with all of that going on, you have to wonder, right? How is this all being handled back in Washington? Well, on this very same day, the administration is juggling the Iran situation with a domestic agenda that's already completely packed. And we see this really fascinating example of message control. While the president is touring an auto plant in Michigan, he gets into this sharp confrontation with a protester. The moment goes instantly viral, and it gets dubbed the Thunderbird response. But here's the key part. It's immediately used to pivot the entire national conversation right back to the administration's America First manufacturing agenda. So what you end up with is this totally wild split-screen moment for the White House. On one side, they're in Detroit talking about fighting inflation, and on the other, they're issuing these major statements on Iran, suddenly declaring that Greenland is vital to national security, and at the same time, ramping up their domestic immigration policy. And make no mistake, this isn't just talk. The no-tolerance immigration policy is being put into real, concrete action. A plan is announced to massively increase denaturalization cases, and they're aiming for 100 to 200 cases every single month. But while all eyes are on Detroit and Iran, a whole other kind of crisis is unfolding on a very different American stage. Fifth Avenue, where a pillar of the luxury retail world is, believe it or not, about to crumble. And then the headline drops and it sends these absolute shockwaves through the business world. Saks Global Enterprises, that's the parent company of the iconic Saks Fifth Avenue and Neiman Marcus, has officially filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. A true giant of retail has fallen. I mean, if you really want to grasp the sheer scale of this collapse, you just have to follow the money. The bankruptcy filing reveals an almost unbelievable debt, $136 million, owed to just one brand, Chanel. And yeah, it's not just Chanel, not by a long shot. The filings also show another $59 million is owed to Kering, the powerhouse behind Gucci. These numbers just paint this incredibly clear picture of a company that has been financially bleeding out. So what happened? What was the final straw? Well, according to reports, it was a classic perfect storm. You had this massive, high-interest debt left over from an acquisition back in 2024, and it just slammed head-on into the harsh economic realities of 2026. It created a burden the company just couldn't carry anymore. Okay, so away from all the high-stakes drama of geopolitics and big finance, the currents of change are also being felt in ways that are, a lot more personal, from the food we're putting on our plates to the music that's in our ears. For example, there's this huge shift, led by RFK Jr., where the administration officially unveils what they're calling a food pyramid inversion. It completely flips decades of nutritional advice on its head. The new guidelines are all about pushing protein and healthy fats to the bottom, to the base of the pyramid, while cutting way back on processed carbs. And they're trying to incentivize farmers to produce more non-processed, real food. And at the same time, the pop culture world is just buzzing with its own stuff. K-pop megastars BTS are back. They're announcing their first world tour after finishing up their military service. Comedian Nikki Glazer is stirring up a debate defending her choice to host a completely non-political Golden Globes. And then, in a real blast from the past, the actor Daniel Stern from Home Alone is in the news for all the wrong reasons, facing charges out in California. And to cap it all off, on this very same day, we're seeing the future arrive in two totally different ways. One is happening right in our living rooms, and the other is happening, well, far, far beyond our planet. So, on the one hand, you've got this tech that's advancing at a crazy pace. Samsung is unveiling a mind-boggling 130-inch television. But at the very same time, we're literally looking to the stars. NASA is announcing the potential launch dates for Artemis 2, and that's the mission that marks humanity's first steps back toward the moon. So when you look back at everything that happened on this one single day, the global tension, the political maneuvering, the market collapse, you just have to ask yourself, what's the real headline? Is it the crisis, the collapse, or is it all those subtle cultural shifts happening in the background? When history looks back on this, which one of these stories will be the one that really defines this moment?